It's late. You should be asleep. You know this. You have things tomorrow. You've told yourself 3 times already. Last message, then bed. Last video, then bed. Just one more thing, then bed. But you're still here. And the strange part isn't that you're tired. The strange part is how awake you feel, how clear, how almost uncomfortably like yourself. The thoughts come easier at this hour. The things you actually think, not the things you're supposed to think. The music you actually want to listen to, not the music that fits the mood of the day. The conversations you have with yourself that are honest in a way your daytime conversations rarely are. There's a version of you that only comes out at night. And somewhere in the quiet of 2 a.m. you've wondered, why does this feel more real than everything else? Let's start with what happens during the day. From the moment you wake up, your brain begins a process psychologists call social performance. Not consciously, not deliberately, but automatically, a set of micro-adjustments that begin before you've even left the house. You modulate your voice. You choose what to say and what to keep back. You read the room, adjust your energy, manage the impression you're making. You answer fine when someone asks how you are, because the real answer is longer and heavier, and this isn't the moment. This isn't dishonesty. It's social functioning. It's how human beings coexist. But it costs something. Every adjustment, every self-monitoring loop, every moment of performing competence or calm or togetherness, it draws from a finite resource. Psychologists call this ego depletion, the gradual erosion of self-regulatory capacity throughout the day. By the time evening comes, the resources are lower, the monitoring is looser, the performance is harder to maintain, and something underneath starts to surface. Carl Jung called it the persona, the mask we construct and wear in social life. Not a false self exactly, more like a functional self. The version of you that knows how to be in the world, how to meet its demands, how to be acceptable to it. The persona isn't the problem. The problem is when you wear it for so long that you forget it's a mask. By 2 a.m., the persona is tired. It's been doing its job all day. And in the quiet, when there's no one to perform for, no role to fill, no expectation to meet, it loosens. What's left underneath isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it's sadness you've been outrunning. Sometimes it's clarity you've been avoiding. Sometimes it's creativity, desire, a version of yourself that has opinions and feelings and preferences that the daytime version doesn't have space for. Sometimes it's just you, unfiltered, unmanaged, unoptimized. And the fact that this feels more real than the version that showed up to everything today, that's worth sitting with. There's also something happening at a neurological level. The brain's prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for inhibitory control, social judgment, self-censorship, is slower at night. Not broken, not absent, just slower. The brake system that monitors and filters what you say, what you think, what you allow yourself to feel, it's less active. This is partly circadian. Your brain knows it's not in public anymore. The threat monitoring circuits relax. The systems designed to keep you socially safe, socially acceptable, socially readable, they ease. And what that means, practically, the thoughts that surface at 2 a.m. are often closer to your actual thoughts than the ones you have at 2 p.m. Not because the daytime thoughts are false, because the nighttime thoughts are less edited. There's also the default mode network, the brain's resting state, the system that activates when you stop actively doing things. The DMN is associated with self-reflection, autobiographical memory, imagining futures, processing emotions. It's most active when you're not focused on an external task. At 2 a.m., with nothing demanding your attention, the DMN runs freely. This is why late-night thoughts are so often about the things that actually matter to you. The unresolved, the longed for, the stuff that doesn't fit in the schedule. Your brain, finally given space, goes directly to what it's been carrying all day. But here's what this reveals about the rest of the time. If 2 a.m. feels more real, what does that say about 2 p.m.? It says that most of your waking hours are spent in a state of managed performance. Not fake, exactly, but curated, shaped. Running a background process that's constantly asking, am I being too much? Am I being enough? Is this okay? Is this acceptable? That process is exhausting. And the reason 2 a.m. feels like relief isn't just the quiet or the dark or the freedom from obligation. It's the absence of that question. At 2 a.m., no one is watching. No one is evaluating. The part of you that monitors and adjusts and performs, it's not gone, but it's resting. And in that rest, you get a few hours of being something you spent the rest of the day working very hard not to be. Just yourself. There's a particular kind of person for whom this is especially true. People who grew up in environments where being themselves came with consequences, where emotional honesty was punished or ignored or met with confusion, where the mask wasn't a choice, it was a survival strategy. For these people, the persona isn't just a social convenience, it's a deeply embedded protection system, and it runs constantly, at a cost so familiar it doesn't even register as cost anymore. It just feels like being a person. Until 2 a.m. When the system finally, briefly, stands down, and they feel something they don't always have a name for. Safe. Inside their own mind. Finally. The question this raises isn't how do I stay up until 2 a.m. more often? The question is, what would it take to feel this way at 2 p.m.? Not the loss of inhibition, not the absence of all structure, but the specific quality of 2 a.m. that you keep coming back to, the permission to be unmanaged, the absence of the evaluation loop, the sense that right now, in this moment, you don't have to be anything other than what you actually are. That quality isn't locked to a time of day, it's locked to safety. And safety, the felt sense that you can exist without being edited, isn't something you find by staying up later. It's something you build. Slowly. In relationships where you've tested the waters and found that the real version of you was met and held and not asked to be different. In the gradual expansion of the moments when the persona can come down. In the growing trust that the unmanaged version of yourself, the 2 a.m. version, is not too much. It's just you. And you are allowed to exist in the daylight too. So tonight, at whatever hour this finds you, notice what you're like right now. Not the version of you that made it through today. Not the version performing competence or calm or togetherness. The one that's still here, after all that, in the quiet. That one is real. The work isn't to keep them hidden until 2 a.m. The work is to make a little more room for them in the hours before. Being shared. Psychology for the things you feel but can't explain. If this found you at the right time, share it with someone who's still awake.